For example, let's have a look at this folder path, and let's move it to the end. So let's just drag it all the way across. Now, this folder path has got all of the path that a particular CD is on. So the V drive, music, album, A Decade of Excellence, and so forth. But what happens if I don't want them all to be in one big column? What if I wanted them to be in lots of separate columns? So I'm just going to open this back up. So we can see there's lots of information there. Well, I can split it, but how should I split it? Well, I might want to split it based on a delimiter. So for instance, every time we have this slash, we want everything else to go into a new column. And we can do this by using the transform split column. So I can split by a delimiter. So I will split by the slash at each instance of this slash. So I could just say I want the leftmost one or I want the rightmost one. But here I want every single one. I'm going to split it up into columns, and you can see it's going to be generating 5 columns. So let's click OK and see what happens. So now you can see folder path has been split into folder path .1, .2, .3, .4, and .5. So what use can I make of this? Well, suppose I wanted a report to be based on folder path 4, which contains the CD name. So let's rename this CD name. I just double clicked on it, click close and apply, and once it's applied, I can go and have, okay, let's have let's just do a table to start with CD name, and the number of bytes, say. So we've got size. So here we can see all of the CD names with the size, which we can obviously easily change into a line chart or something like that. So you can see Christmas Hits 2007 right at the top. So how else could we do this? Well, suppose we were suppose we were splitting at, say, a space, maybe even just the first space or the last space. How would that be useful? Well, suppose you've got somebody's name, Philip space Burton. Now, that's fine in one field, but you might actually want to have a forename or forenames and surname, or maybe forename, middle name, surname. So you would be splitting up based on a delimiter of a space. You'll notice that we're using the formula table.split column. And with all of these, as I say, you can let the computer do the hard work in working out which formula it is, and then if you want to edit it later, fine-tune it, then you can do so. What other split columns can we do? Well, we can split by a number of characters. So in this case, suppose you didn't have a text file that was split at various delimiters. It was split at various points. So the 15th character in it was split, and then the 20th character. Well, if they're regular, you can split by the number of characters. So the 15th character, say. So if I do that to folder path 5.5, you can see we now have the first 15 characters and then all the rest. Alternatively, maybe you have one which is 15 characters and then you've got 5 characters and then you've got another 10 characters, which is perfectly possible as well. Well, you can do the by positions. So 15, 20, 25, and there we have it split into these locations. However, also notice what didn't happen. It hasn't given us the first 14 characters. We have here 12 concerto for strings il riposo. That has been changed to stri, 5 characters with a space, ings, no apostrophe, another 5 characters, and il riposo. So if you want the first set of characters as well to appear, then you need 1, 15, 20, 25. In fact, you need 0 because it is 0 based. So you can see we are missing the very first character there. So if I change that to a 0, then we are getting the very first character, and then 15 characters later, we get the next few, and so forth. So this split columns allows us to fine-tune where we split. There are a few more instances. We have got split where it changes from lowercase to uppercase, from uppercase to lowercase, from a digit to a non-digit, or non-digit to a digit. So when might these be useful? Well, suppose you have got a product code, which is all numbers, and then the product itself all merged into just one column. So 349268, stapler. 126, glass. They're not necessarily of the same length, and they might not have a space in exactly where you would as a delimiter. So maybe you want to split it so that when it goes from digits to non-digit, then you make a new column. Bit rarer, I would have thought. So the main two I would have thought would be by delimiter and by positions, which gets it into fragments. So by delimiter, when you've got things like spaces or backslashes or anything that can be used to identify where the columns stop and end, and then by positions, where you can say, well, the first one's going to be 15 characters, the next one's going to be 5, the next one's going to be 5. But do remember, you need to start at the very first character being 0. So if you wanted the beginning 15 characters, then you would start with 0, 50.